So the exit polls are out, and my team has put the numbers together, which is why this video is a little late. Assam, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry. We're going to take you through the numbers state by state in the simplest way possible. But before we begin, an important caveat. Exit polls have had a mixed checkered track record in India, so they sometimes get it wrong. So this is just a direction in an estimate of which way this might be going. It's not a final destination. The final results are on the 4th of May. Let's take it state by state. In Assam, most exit polls are projecting a comfortable win for the BJP and a third consecutive term for Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma. Across agencies, BJP consistently projected well above that majority mark of 64. Which is the halfway mark, and you'll see, the India Today Access My India poll giving the NDA a maximum of 100 out of 126 seats. People's Pulse a slightly smaller number, but effectively everybody says the BJP is going to win. What explains this? Delimitation exercise that broke up the constituencies in 2023. There was an allegation that minority constituencies were broken up, and that worked in the BJP's favor. The second is identity politics. There's been a lot of campaigning around protecting indigenous identity, land, culture, and of course protecting it from the Muslim outsiders who are coming in from across the border. Third, welfare. Schemes which provide direct cash transfers to women have created a large base of beneficiaries. 26 lakh women are covered, and the BJP has promised to increase that support further. And of course, voter blocks. The tea garden community, the tribal community in Bodoland remains very crucial, and these have all strengthened the BJP's position and given the BJP perhaps another term here. And finally, a very divided opposition. So the anti-BJP vote in the state of Assam remains split across multiple parties, and that factor seems to have really worked in the BJP's favor. On the promises, the BJP has promised uniform civil code, stricter immigration enforcement, massive infrastructure investment, job creation, flood control, and expanded welfare. All of this has worked in its favor. It appears from these numbers or from these suggestions of these polls for the BJP. The next state that's very interesting is, of course, Kerala. Exit polls suggest the Congress-led UDF will return to power, ending Pinarayi Vijayan's bid for a third consecutive term. Now, across predictions, UDF appears to be comfortably above that majority mark. Halfway mark is 71 in Kerala. And see, normally this is the interesting thing about Kerala. It's LDF versus UDF, and it normally is a 2-point or it is a binary fight. But this time it's become a triangular fight because the BJP is doing a little better. And that's something I want to point out on these numbers. Look at the BJP, 0 to 3, 3 to 7, 3 to 5. This is what the polls have given the BJP. So that's interesting for me. Also, let's look at the numbers. This time it looks like the LDF is not in favor and the UDF is in favor. Kerala might be the only state the only state where the Congress has done where the Congress has registered any sort of a victory in these elections as well. This, and the things that might have driven this fundamentally is anti-incumbency against the current government. They've been in power for 10 years. And so even though welfare delivery remains strong, there is always anti-incumbency that builds in. Second, development debates, large infrastructure projects, especially the controversial Silver Line proposal, has triggered support and pushback, and the opposition is tapping into that. Third, the BJP factor. Now, the BJP is a small player, but it's no longer insignificant. We have to pay attention to the inroads that the BJP has made in Kerala. That's always been a left-leaning state. So a right-wing vote is emerging in Kerala, and even if it's a modest vote share, it has turned this into a triangular three-way fight. And what it would have done is then broken up it would have divided up the anti-Congress vote. Now, the fourth is jobs. So employment and migration, especially the brain drain of young people who are leaving the state, remains a central issue. And community equations. Kerala's elections are often about the smaller communities, the Muslim and the Christian vote. Particularly, these dynamics have tilted those balances. The UDF promises are actually about higher pensions, better wages for Asha workers, expanded health insurance, subsidized food, financial support for women, for students, and free public transport for women. So it seems to have worked in their favor. Let's take a look at Puducherry. Now, Puducherry appears to be a small contest, but it's an important contest. There was a slight edge here by the NDA led by the AINRC BJP alliance. They appear to be very comfortable, and they're going to continue to hold on to this to the union territory. The halfway mark is 16, and this alliance appears to be crossing that 16 just so, but comfortably enough. A lot of the projections are appearing to lean towards the NDA. There was a very high voter turnout, and the entry of a third force in some of those constituencies. The promises were LPG cylinders, subsidies for women entrepreneurs, e-scooties for girl students, job reservation for locals, which turned out to be a very important thing, financial support for fisher folk, and internships for younger people. Let's take a look at the state that actually brought in something interesting here, Tamil Nadu. This is where things get interesting. Now, the halfway mark is 118. And if you see here, going in, it did seem like MK Stalin was really strong. But it's such a mixed bag right now. India Today Access on the top is giving a split mandate between DMK and TVK. Remember, TVK is Vijay. And this is a really, this is not a small number for, this is a sweep, 98 to 120, which means it's suggesting that there is a possibility that Vijay could cross the halfway mark completely on his own, which would make him perhaps the first movie star politician to have done well since Jayalalitha and MGR. Because after that, several have tried, Kamal Haasan tried, but nothing happened. People's Pulse is giving the mandate to DMK. We have the Time Star JVC is giving the mandate to AIADMK, and PMARG is again looking at DMK. So it's a mixed bag of numbers. We don't really know which one to rely on, but the emergence of Vijay's party as a challenger disruptor is really interesting. He seems to be cutting through the traditional base. Apparently, Vijay is estimated to have done really well in the urban centers, specifically in and around Chennai. And if DMK doesn't return, this will mark consecutive terms where the state's power has remained alternate. But this time there's a third player coming in. So it's not just AIADMK, DMK, but there's also Vijay's TVK that is seeming very interesting. Then, of course, to the biggest fight of all, which is West Bengal, most closely watched contest. West Bengal, again, a mixed bag of results. People's Pulse is saying TMC will cross the halfway mark. PMARC is saying, the BJP will cross the halfway mark. Times Now is giving it again, mostly to the BJP, although it's close. Poll Diary also giving it to the BJP. So the split really, we don't really know which way it's going still. So we'll only know on the 4th of May. Also, very interesting here, the Congress and the left, not much to show there in Bengal. So it remains the BJP versus TMC fight. And the TMC fighting anti-incumbency here at this point. Corruption charges, anti-incumbency. Mamata Banerjee now going in for another term. And the BJP would have a lot to capitalize on that anti-incumbency, except for the SIR exercise that seems to have riled up a lot of emotion in Bengal, perhaps making the Bengali people sort of band together. We'll have to see where all of that stands, but this is where the numbers are. The thing about the Bengal numbers that I do want to point out, you'll notice that the Access My India Today poll is not on it because they didn't release numbers for Bengal. They said basically the people were not forthcoming with their answers, and so they don't trust those numbers. So it's very interesting, and I want to, we're going to watch very closely to see what happens on the 4th of May. I'll be here with a super interesting team of guests who will break it down for us, and we'll go live on the 4th of May, so you should join us on that day. We'll try to keep it as clean and as even-toned as we can, as possible. But these are the exit numbers for now. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Where do you think Tamil Nadu is going to go? Which way do you think Bengal is going to go? Because that is still a big quest. Thanks for watching.